Hi, and welcome to this episode of Fantheon. Tonight we're talking Harley Quinn, the latest Harley Quinn, where she faces off against the Joker. Um, we're also talking Power Man and Iron Fist, the new Luke Cage and Danny Rand comic, with a little bit of Jessica Jones, and also some possibly some Midnighter at the end. So yeah, we have a special guest. He's been on a couple episodes before, Darrell. So Darrell, could you tell about your websites and kind of what you've been up to, and Twitter and stuff?
Cool. I'm Darrell from BlerdsOnline.com. You can check us out on Twitter at Blerds Online, YouTube at Blerds Online, pretty much everywhere. Pretty much cornered the market on that one. Right now, we've been doing Black Supervillain Month, so you should check that out. Should be wrapping up pretty soon. Yeah.
Cool. Emma.
Oh yeah, I'm Emma Hubois. I write out of Comicosity right now. My Twitter handle is EMMAHOUXBOIS. Yeah, I've got Big Bad Harley Quinn number 25 review out this week and had hit a couple more besides. There's a bunch of stuff waiting in the wings. That big comic that sells a lot, that comes with a mini comic every single time. Got a big review waiting for that one coming. Obviously can't talk about because embargo, but we will be chatting about that next week for sure.
Awesome.
All right, and I'm Terrence. You can get me on Twitter at SAGE. I got it confused. SAGETERRENCE, and I got my reviews I have to finish because Deadpool, and I went shopping today and it took all my time. And you,
Shopping.
yeah, had to get some new jeans because
Deadpool.
being 6'4" is a struggle. So, and then. Soon you will see me on Dead End Hip Hop. I'm getting into music reviews, so don't murder me if I say your favorite album sucks. Well, not sucks, but yeah,
What do you
it doesn't get a 5 out of
Life of
5.
Pablo? How many
Yeah,
stars?
give us a hot take on that.
No, the managing editor is doing that one. I don't want to touch that because it's too many variables in that. Because I'll
No, just touch
probably
it. Just touch it right now.
well. It's because Kanye
Because you did this. You went to the theater for Yeezy season 2, right?
Yeah, that was fantastic. But it's like he keeps adding to it and taking away, and his social Twitter presence is infecting my thoughts about the album because he tweeted, "I'm gonna fix Wolves." There was nothing wrong with Wolves. You had Frank Ocean, who we all thought was dead.
I think he actually, for the album version, he ended up taking Fig Mensa off the album version.
Yeah, he doesn't have, but I think it's gonna. But someone on the internet, bless him, combined both tracks. You gotta download that actually, and it's like the Life of Pablo. Like it was no really like subject. He went from gospel to like No More Parties in L.A. and 30 Hours and Fate. It was like it's not really cohesive.
Nah, see,
Per
those were
se.
bonus tracks. Like the album ends like at the Max B like interview, like the Silver Surfer part. That's like the end of the album. Like everything else is like bonus tracks.
Silver Surfer.
And
What?
then
Yeah.
yeah, it's a rap. They used to call him Max B Silver Surfer.
Okay.
And yeah, Dan Slott jumped on that. He was like, "Wait, what? But I'm
Yeah.
on Team Taylor Swift."
Oh, man, what? Really? Oh, he's gonna come on the podcast now and like phase.
He's gonna block us all. That's what,
Oh man.
but besides that, it's like, come on, Kanye. And then he said, "I'm not gonna release the album for a whole nother week," and then said, "Up, change my mind. It's only gonna be on Tidal forever. So if you want it, you got to get Tidal. $20 a month. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It's only on Tidal now.
oh, I
So
was waiting.
everybody smart and legally downloaded it, like me. So yeah,
Yeah, it was like
Kanye,
his
you gotta
website
do
for
better.
an hour, but I was stuck at work, and yeah, I'm gonna just have to get title. It's gonna suck.
No, you're just gonna have to legally download it like the rest of us, and we're gonna continue to do that.
I'd rather
Like,
spend $90 on that Robert Kardashian shirt than sign up for Tidal.
they've got like a 30-day trial, I think. Like
Yeah, so
Yeah, they
everybody
do. I should
keep
keep
creating
that, yeah.
Gmail. If you want title, keep creating
We
email
didn't have a credit
accounts.
card though.
Oh
Just put in
my
random numbers. You will strike gold eventually.
God. Please do not commit credit card fraud.
Just pick up one of those little prepaid ones for like $5 on it. It's like all the day.
Nice. All right, so this is actually a hip hop podcast. We're going to talk next. We're going to talk about the Kendrick performance at the Grammys. I wish.
I haven't watched it yet, but if we had, then it would be
It was
so
beautiful and amazing, and those faces in the audience were super uncomfortable.
I've seen
and I
those.
loved it.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. The West Coast is definitely back, beyond back, like
Yeah.
on top. Sorry, Midwestern people, and we have one West Coast. I mean, Vancouver, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
Nice. So I am a Logan, 16-digit nerd. I write for Pop Optic and Graphic Policy, and this week I had some other paid freelancing to do, so I'm a little light on the reviews. My only review this week is Red Sonja, which is actually pretty awesome. Like, kind of each issue, Marguerite Bennett is looking at a different like political themes through this like sword and sorcery story. So this week we got our propaganda, and I got to take some shots at Michael Bay in my review. Yeah, it was fun, and I also did a feature on Midnighter as kind of basically the perfect action hero. Not like, yeah, I'll probably talk about it later. And also my penultimate investigating alias. I got one more issue to go. Her final kind of battle, not really battle, final encounter with the Purple Man, and some Luke Cage stuff too. And
I thought that one was out now. Damn, it would have been so much better if Harley Quinn 25 lined up right with your alias. Oh well. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, it is actually. I mean, her like the issue is a lot of her like coming to terms with confronting Kilgrave, but like the big finale isn't yet. Yep. And I'm also gonna do, since I love Jessica Jones so much, I'm gonna do the Pulse. I'm gonna be doing a series on the Pulse as well, which is like way different. She's at like a newspaper, and the art's not as good.
What was the big Marvel event that ran through the Pulse? World War Hulk?
Oh my! Did my dog just pee? Oh my god! Whoa! What the heck? Okay. Well, yeah, World War Hulk, and I think House of M as well. I read it a long time ago. After I read Alias for the first time, because I was super into Jessica Jones even back then. Yeah, and then also I'm kind of branching out of the TV world. So as soon as this podcast is over, I'm gonna be watching and reviewing Broad City season 3 premiere.
Yes.
Which Terrence was watching earlier during the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, I need
Right
to get on that show.
Duh.
Not just through Tumblr.
Yeah, that Tumblr osmosis is killing me with stuff, man. It's killing me.
I think I watched all of Orange is the New Black and Supernatural through Tumblr.
They renewed Orange is the New Black for four, I think 3 more seasons.
Three more seasons. Yeah, that's I don't know how much juice that show has left.
So either Piper's gonna be out and about, or she's just gonna be in jail forever.
Yeah, it's like
she's gonna get a job in the prison. And
she's gonna turn into Heisenberg. Like they pretty much already set it up with a panty plot line. They're gonna go down the Breaking Bad road, and it's not a bad road. It'll be interesting to chart the gender differences, but I really think she's gonna turn into Heisenberg.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be nice to have like kind of a female anti-hero to anti-hero.
I'm just there for the lesbians and
staying on brand. But speaking of prison and stuff, yeah. First one up is Harley Quinn 25, and this is the issue that Connor and Palmiotti have been building up to since day one. If you haven't been following the series,
Zero, don't forget we start with the Zero issue.
yeah. That's a long time ago now, but it's been like 2 years, obviously. Actually, a little bit more than that, because of course you had the 2-month skip for Convergence, and so it's been actually more than 25 months. But yeah, so if you're not following the series, this is the first time that the Joker himself directly shows up in the comic since the beginning. I mean, there was that little bit of Future's End thing, and he's shown up in a couple dream sequences, but this was the big deal. You know, what's going to happen? Is she finally over him? You know, is she going to fall back in with him? And of course, she beats the living shit out of him. So.
Oh, that was such a great fight. I was just like so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the Gotham City, Jessica Jones issue basically, and it's dope because I mean they actually really started talking explicitly like let's handle this situation as if it's actually been a domestic violence situation since the get-go, and not kind of play with this as this sort of cutesy fantasy whatever thing that we've kind of been doing since day one with Harley. So, I mean it's. You know, in a sense, it was never like the absolute worst, most terrible thing, but you do kind of have to sit back and be like, they really did introduce this dynamic in a kid's cartoon, and yeah, there's been some bad subtext and some bad ways that they kind of set this up back in the day, but Connor and Paul Miani kind of pumped the brakes and said, look, we're approaching this as if it was an abusive relationship. That's how Harley's going to talk about it. That's how we're going to do it. And so they just, I don't know, they set everything up right. You know, everybody wants to help her. They're worried that she's going to backslide, but they all just step back and say, you know what, you got to do this yourself. And she, like, locks herself up in the cell with them and just, you know, they go toe-to-toe. And it's very clear in the art that this isn't, you know, the fun, weird, sexy times. It's she's beating him up.
Like there's the kiss where you're thinking, oh no, they're bad, but then it's like this super cartoonishly violent Chad Harden thing with like.
Well, she bites his lip, and it's just then that's the break, and you're like, all right. But it's, I mean, the cool thing to me was like we already knew how this fight was going to go if you were paying close attention because we've already seen the solicited cover where she gets the dip dye hair, like in the Suicide Squad movie, but. Margot Robbie is wearing that jacket that says like, you know, property of the Joker on the back. She's got the, you know, the choker and the T-shirt. It's all very, you know, over the top. But Connor kind of parodies it with having the graphic on the back of the jacket with, you know, just the Joker behind bars and says owned over it. So it's like, yeah, we're not going back to that. So it's good because I mean there would be people who are reading this comic as domestic violence survivors that were like, oh shit, are we going to go back to that? And so the smart thing to do was to put that on the cover and to have it out there a few months early so that if you needed to know that it was going to be okay, that it was out there, right? That to me was an important piece.
Also, I like there's some like really nice clever bits in this issue. Like the guards recognizing her as Harley.
Yeah.
Because I love that because like how she can walk back in there, someone's gonna recognize it. This is a little bit goofy even for this series, but they're like, that's Harley. But it's, I mean, if people are still sleeping on Chad Harden, like just stop sleeping on this guy because he is a very kind of similar to Terry Dodson and those kind of dudes. Like he is a fairly house style guy, but he brings stuff out in the body language and stuff that you just don't see. Like when she gets his back and she's going to like whack him in the head, she's holding her arm up the way that you'd actually see a UFC fighter. Because, you know, like under UFC rules, obviously you can't punch someone in the back of the head, right? So you got to get around. So they kind of develop that technique where you almost just kind of drop your arm down like that and let gravity do the work, so you can conserve your energy. And you kind of see that. So, you know, if you're a big fight fan, you're like, oh, hey, they're thinking about it. But then they're also thinking, hey, Harley actually like knows how to fight. Like they're portraying her as being, you know, a competent fighter. So it's
Midnighter taught her.
Yeah.
Back up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're squabbing right now.
Oh yeah, that was like the action was like really just solid. Like it's
And
like
the judo
Harley Quinn's a
throw.
playable character in the Arkham Asylum games or something, you know.
Well, she's better than she's in the games, but I know what you mean
Yeah.
in terms
Oh,
of the choreography.
Mm. Yeah, also Batman is kind of interesting in this. He gets I guess he seems a little more flexible.
Well, he always has in this series. Because there was the Valentine's Day special where she went on that date with Bruce Wayne and stuff, right? And then he kind of played good cop, bad cop with her, where Bruce is like, you know, you're doing some great stuff in the community, and then Batman, and then he shows up as Batman, and he's like, I'm keeping, like, you're doing some good, but I'm like keeping my eye on you. If you slip, I'm going to be there, right? So, I mean, in a certain sense, obviously, this is not paying attention to current continuity, and that's why she's in New York and not Gotham. So, like, I don't know. We can pretend that this takes place around Batman 51 or 52 or whatever. And because obviously the Joker isn't the Joker again yet, but it doesn't really matter for this story. But there is kind of that sense of what we've sort of wanted Snyder's Batman to turn into after the super heavy arc already there. So it feels pretty on point to me, even though it's obviously out of continuity.
Also, what do you guys think about Harley Ivy?
I love it. I ship it.
Been on it since day one.
I mean, it's kind of simple.
but-
It's like they're two friends with benefits, so I'm with that.
That's where they're at now. And like, I remember reading a pretty solid interview actually on the Daily Dot with Paul Miotti. He did two of them. He did one for Starfire and one for Harley. But the Harley one, they were asking him, trying to get him to say, are you going to go there or are you not, like, fully go there? And he said, he's like, well, I don't want to answer that because if I say that we're going to do it, then it's going to spoil the lead into it. And so the big swerve at the end of this issue is that Mason is going into witness protection, right? He's out of the story. And that was like, holy shit.
Yeah, because they
That
had
was
like
a swerve. And it was good and it was smart because you know how the Joker thing's going to play out. So they hit you with that other swerve, and they kind of want to say Harley can be single and on her own, and that's good. That's a good message. But the thing is now there's that gap that this could be the lead-in. It may not be, but
full on Harley Ivy.
Yeah, could be.
Which Poison Ivy is written like 1,000 times better in her like guest appearances in this book than in her solo book.
Well,
Shade. She's not getting her plants watered.
no.
Did anybody read Poison Ivy #2?
Why would I waste my
glanced
eyeballs? No.
I glanced through it. Well, the thing is, the interesting thing to me though, like the New 52 has done a world of good for Harley because, like, I mean, obviously the Suicide costume and that kind of stuff was was pretty gauche, but when you think about it, like back in the pre-Flashpoint, Ivy was just as terrible and manipulative and abusive to Harley as the Joker was. Really, she was pretty manipulative, took advantage of her. Like Gotham City Sirens was not good for that, So they really needed that big continuity reset to kind of set up a new dynamic that was healthy with her and Ivy. So you kind of got to say, yeah, we really owe Flashpoint for that one. To get that clean break and set up something new. But like, I like a lot of what Amy Chu wants to do conceptually in the mini, like in the Poison Ivy mini, but the execution's not working. Clayman is the wrong guy. Like, if you had someone with a playful, cartoony style on there, a lot more things would play more cleanly, and obviously those weird kind of like upskirt shots could just go away. I'm guessing that she doesn't write those into the script. I don't know. You'd have to see it. But like, there's a whole thing where this one guy that she works with in the lab, he lies about where he was during the whole, like, what do you call it? When the murder happens, right? Because he was going and doing karaoke. Or no, he was auditioning for you've got America's Got Talent or something. But it just kind of looks just stiff and contrived, like everything else the Clayman does. If you had, oh God, I don't know, anybody, Sanford Green, Brittany Williams, name any of those people who do highly animated, fun stuff, you would get this hilarious little sitcom cutaway, and it would look nice. But it just gets stiff, and I kind of think it's interesting where she has these weird plant babies, because it's like an inversion of Frankenstein, where these dudes are obsessed with creating new life without needing a woman to do it, right? Whereas in this one, she's doing the opposite, where she's like, I can have my babies without actually, needing a man to get involved in it. So it's interesting. There's themes of women and how they get along in STEM fields. So there's a lot of raw stuff, raw material, like potting soil, as it were, that is really good. But it's like Terrence said, her plant's not getting one.
Yeah, plus there's like
That's
tons of
yeah.
drama between her and Harley.
That's just the stiff old school stuff, and it's not coming out of the Batman desk, right? Like this is organized under the Superman desk, I think, where like all of these because it's part of that program of 6-issue minis with Swamp Thing and Raven and what are the other ones that are coming? I can't remember, but there's a whole bunch of them. So
Some like
it's
Legends of Tomorrow book.
Yeah.
yeah,
No relation to the TV show. They just wanted to call it
yeah.
that. It's Metamorpho, Firestorm, Sugar and Spike, and the Metalmen.
That sounds like a hacked up version of The Outsiders more than it does Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, it's
And
like
I want two different versions of the Outsiders. I want the Green Arrow ones they introduced with
Mhm.
Katana and the other warrior clans, and the actual like Black Lightning and
Yeah,
Katana Metamorpho Outsiders.
yeah, Grace Joy, yeah. But I mean, to me, if I was going to launch The Outsiders right now, uh, I'd be looking at organizing with Batwoman or I don't know what's going on with Nightwing exactly. Obviously, he's back in Rebirth, but one of those two. But I don't know. Katana's not going to be an outsider for a long ass time. She's Suicide Squad for life right now.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
one thing I wanted to say about Harley and Logan, weigh on this because you're a fan of both. You don't talk about as much about Harley as you do Jessica Jones. But an interesting thing to me about this is that the Jessica Jones, like especially as the TV series, because I didn't read much of Alias, I bounced out pretty fast. But Jessica Jones to me felt like something that somebody who had experienced that could get more out of than a casual observer. Because the whole mind control stuff is a little bit iffy when you're trying to talk about how the power dynamics of abusive relationships work, right? Because you
yeah.
kind
Well,
of
I'm
like,
just gonna butt in. I don't think
yeah,
like Jessica never ever loved Kilgrave ever.
right,
It's just
exactly,
it's basically like it's rape but with like sci-fi like stuff and
yeah.
yeah, so it's a lot different and but I mean there is a similar arc, but it's a lot different. It's like kind of it's like two different things really.
Well,
Um,
yeah, I mean, but it's interesting to see how people talk about the TV show, though, because here's my kind of rough idea of what
it's
I've
handled a
seen.
lot. I think it's handled a lot better in the TV show because
Okay.
like there's some good moments, like especially once you get to the purple arc in her like origin, but Bendis just kept it mysterious for too long. But I mean, there are some great moments, like Scott Lang tries to like butt in and be like, "You're raped, right? Tell me about it." He like
Oh,
is he's like terrible, pretty much.
well,
Um,
that's Scott.
except she keeps like the next to last issue, she's like looking for a place to crash, and she just had this great heart to heart with Luke Cage, and she ends up crashing at Scott Lang's place. Like, why? But he does get like eaten up by ants, which is like really gross.
I kind of get that, honestly. She probably, yeah, I think I can kind of get that. That makes a little bit of sense. But what I wanted to say, though, is to me, it seems like Jessica Jones is a good show for people who have lived through that kind of stuff to kind of imprint on because it's really good at portraying the way that people feel like they were in a haze like that they were under some kind of, and kind of the pull of these dynamics. But to an outsider, it feels like you said, it's this artificial thing that makes it difficult to talk about, the hierarchies of victim blaming and yada yada and stuff like that. Whereas with Harley Quinn, where it's more straight up and they cut out the fantasy crazy stuff and that sort of thing, where they just go full tilt on it, you get a much better outside perspective on it, where you can see the dynamics of
Well, I think it's
do you know what I
handled
mean?
better in the show because freaking like Mark Bagley draws the flashbacks, and it's really just
Yeah,
skeezy and sleet. And then, but with in the show, it's just they just show little moments of Jessica under Kilgrave's control from
Yeah.
the past, just like, and it's just like really subtle and always connected to what she's doing in the present and how she's trying to overcome it. So yeah, that's one thing the show handles a lot better. I mean, the comic does a lot better job like showing her relationship with superheroes and how she has trauma
Yes.
from superheroes, like literal trauma, like the Vision punched her detached her retina. And also, actually, also in the comic, she does actual cases and stuff, which
Yeah, I think they
kind of
need
came
a
up
bit.
on like
Yeah.
5 episodes in to turn into like a psychological thriller, which I liked, but I'm like, they can't do that every season.
No.
They got to. I mean, they got to do more of a blend of case of the week and long term. They should just hit up Rob Thomas and who's slayed that kind of storytelling on Veronica Mars and Now and I Zombie.
Well, any of the X-Files guys, really, or yeah.
But like more of like PI kind of cop kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. But yeah, speaking of, okay, this actually is a segue that we like came up with, a really awkward one. Jessica Jones does appear in Power Man and Iron Fist #1, which is written
As
by
the couch potato.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
yeah, it's written by David Walker with art by Sanford Green and colors by Emma's not
Lee
crush.
Lowridge, yeah. Well, yeah, my
I'm
favorite.
just gonna say Emma's colorist crush.
You can call it what you want. It's all good. But yeah, I know it's so funny. I was reading the credits page because I think I maybe knew when it was announced and forgot. But I was just like reading the first page and I was like, man, like I don't even have to look for his stuff. I just whatever I open, oh, there he is. You know, you don't have to hunt him down. I think there's only like one book he's doing that I actively do not want to read.
Dr. Fate.
No. Oh, is he on Dr. Fate as well? No. He was on. Is he on Red Wolf or was he just on the Red Wolf like that 18 whatever during Secret
He's on
Wars?
1872.
Okay, so then yeah, I think that probably Dr. Fate is one of the few of his books that I'm not reading.
Don't you want to read Dr. Fate? Like,
Oh, I just didn't jump on it immediately, right?
No.
I think I might go back and look at Dr. Fate's a weird character that I'm just like,
Don't do it.
yeah, I don't know. I like Paul Levitz though. I mean, you know, like I've read pretty much everything he's done with Power Girl, and he deserves a lot of credit for what he did with before Jeff Johns and Amanda Connor and Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray really got that ball rolling. You know, she was a pretty dope kind of character, like the kind of characters that we get with like She-Hulk or Hellcat now, where they're like professionals and superheroes and they kind of have that life balance. He really kind of was one of the pioneers of that in DC stuff that I read. So I should read it. It looks interesting, and the covers are always like really cool.
That's how they get you, and then you read it, it's just like, ah.
It's not Amanda Connor, yeah. So what did you guys think of Darrell, what did you think of Power Man and Iron Fist?
oh man, I definitely loved it. It's got that like goofy buddy cop feel to it, which is always kind of the big draw with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Like Luke's all doing his pessimistic, I'm 3 days from retirement thing, and James like super hype, like we can get the family back together. And it's like it's pretty dope. It's like it was pretty funny, which is something like I really like Luke's trying not to swear or anything. He's like, oh, there's too much spittle fat. And it's like,
Oh, you got muted.
oh,
Oh, you got muted at the end.
okay. But yeah, it's like Luke's trying not to swear. It's like, can Jessica really tell anyone not to swear? Like, it's like,
Yeah,
Well, that was the funniest line in the entire book for me.
I didn't even think of. I forget like how much she was swearing in Alias.
Oh, she is
forgot
so
about that.
funny enough in Alias, even compared to the TV show. Like the TV show uses like fuck like twice, and I didn't.
Yeah,
even,
no, I'm thinking of the comic. I totally forgot about that.
What's the first word of Alias #1? I mean,
What is it?
fuck.
Oh,
It's like because I mean that's why like the Max imprint was created, and yeah.
well, and that was like at the same time. Like that was probably within months of that Why the Last Man issue where he's like talking with his sister, and she's like, "You can say fuck in a comic book." and everyone's like, wah, wah.
Was Why Last Man Around in 2001?
Right around then, like it was because like I graduated high school in like '02, and I think like Y started
Oh
in like
my God,
'03.
oh two.
Yeah, Y. I know I'm old. Y started in like '03. I looked this up the other day. I was like just barely 18 when I started reading Y. So it was a couple years later, but it was around that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, like that. Probably the only thing I didn't like about it was like Jessica Jones being a couch potato. But I mean, it's not her book. She's like a supporting character.
We will
She'll
see
be
more
there
of her.
to bother Luke on the phone. She'll be in there.
I like the. Okay, sorry, spoilers. I do like the villains. White Jenny and Black Mariah.
Yeah, that kind of shocked me. Like, I knew Black Mariah was gonna be in the book. I didn't know she would like be the big villain. Like she's pretty much like used to be like a one-off villain for Luke Cage. Like, all right, we need some filler.
What's her deal? Like, what's her? I don't know anything about her.
Me neither.
Like, no, she's just a big black lady. That's her deal. Like, there's no superpowers or anything. She used to be a gang leader, so that was.
So evil Aunt Jemima, basically.
Evil Aunt Jemima. That's amazing.
Basically, yeah.
She's lined up for the Netflix show, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh, is she gonna be in it?
I think we saw. I think in this issue we saw everybody that's going to be in the Netflix show except for.
No, we didn't see Cottonmouth.
Oh,
Yeah,
just
like one guy. Yeah.
I don't think we saw Shades either. Like,
Oh, I
heard they
forgot
casted
about that.
Shades.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was thinking of the guys I know are going to show up are like Tombstone and Black Mariah and.
We're gonna get
Tombstone's gonna be in
MCU Tombstone.
I thought he was. No.
Well, he's more of a Spider-Man villain.
I could be talking shit. Well, actually, it's pretty funny. We just got to tweet one of our listeners graduated in '02 as well, so I'm not the only old cranky.
Oh yeah. I like talking to like cute people in their 30s. It's like my jam.
Oh, I'm one of the two.
Yeah. There's more out there. You guys are out there. I'm waving to you from Twitter. Yeah. You
Yeah, I
guys.
could be talking my ass on Tombstone with that one. One thing I kind of wish with him is that they had done something a little bit more obvious with the lettering, because like as soon as
Did you guys read Superior Foes of Spider-Man?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
Read like one or two issues.
Oh gosh, it's like one of the best things that come out of Marvel this like decade.
It's always gonna be that one book that we need to be reading, but we're not.
Yeah, I mean it's like D-list villains pretty much just they're like lives
Yeah,
pretty
I
much.
saw Beetle and Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's like
Scott was dating Beetle.
Yeah, it's better than Ant-Man though. Sorry. Yeah, and it's what's his name? It's Nick Spencer and Steve Lieber.
That's right. It was one of Nick Spencer's first big Marvel books, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's just like, and it was like a really like quirky book that was always on the edge of cancellation, but somehow made it to like 18 issues and got an omnibus. And yeah, Tombstone shows up and they did the lettering in that.
Yeah, they could. I think they could have been more explicit this time because they just kind of grayed it out a bit. But then once you get to that panel where Luke says something about that whisper thing of yours, and then I was like, oh man, now I have to go back and reread the whole issue to really get that voice. And I was thinking of that raspy mafia voice that Method Man does.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I was reading.
Oh my god, yeah. This has nothing to do with comics, but Duke upset North Carolina. Woo woo.
Screw you, Michael Jordan.
Oh, Michael Jordan. The snapback returns. Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that's like that intro to the Riddler song when he's like doing that gangster. That's how I hear Tombstone now.
I hear Tombstone from a Spectacular Spider-Man because I'm 12.
Oh, he wasn't that? I need to watch that show. I never watched that show.
Really? Huh.
See,
What's 90s Spider-Man?
I do have it in the frame of mind to see Tombstone as a Luke Cage villain because Darrell Ayo reminded us of the Brian Azzarello Max series today, and he was one of the villains in that. So that was like one of the first times I saw him in a comic since like the McFarlane days when I was like a little kid. And saw a couple of Tombstone things, and I was like, "This guy's weird." But so yeah, the only substantive Tombstone appearances prior to this that I've actually seen in a comic was the Azzarello Corbin thing. So yeah, and you can kind of see how there's bits and pieces. Like obviously this is a much better comic than that was, but there are little bits and pieces where they're kind of striking out in that tone and space, but in a much smarter way.
Yeah, I really like the fight scene with Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and you can kind of see the Iron Fist is a lot of quick like panel cuts, and Luke Cage is just like, you guys don't want to fight me, which reminded me a lot of Jessica Jones in his fighting style in that, where he's like the original Barcy.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm unbreakable, but the suit is silk.
Oh, that was great.
I mean, I got the spirit of it, but in Jessica Jones, I was just not there for his like sarcastic no sell thing. I was like, come on, give us something. It was a little bit like it just felt so stiff.
I think he'll be more since he'll be like in Harlem. He'll get a little more. We'll get a little more out of him.
Oh, he definitely felt like he was not completely himself which for a good reason. I mean, the whole stuff with his wife. I mean. And then he gets pretty much like damseled in the last few episodes. I was like not happy with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't even know how he actually felt about any of that situation at the end of it. Like, there's nothing of what he said.
Yeah, I was hoping for some closure because the end of Alias, there's some crazy closure because Jessica Jones is pregnant with his kid. I wasn't expecting that in the show. I was hoping I was hoping at least for some kind of closure with him. But maybe we'll get on his show. What are they going to even use as source material for his show?
Well, that's what everyone's been worried about, isn't the Azzarello thing? Because that's what everybody else's stuff is based on.
Well, like Deadpool doesn't have an exact thing they could do, so they just kind of like strung bits and pieces of everything together. Yeah. Maybe we'll get a hit of Heroes for Hire. Well, then that's the Defender, so.
Well, I hope so, because everything else has been that like 2001 era of Marvel when Alias, that because Bendis took that that like the Azzarello Corbin look, and he like pulled that into Alias and Daredevil, right? So that was kind of the nexus. So hopefully they just like leave that in the past. But yeah, I don't know. You could see some of those themes popping up again because. The Cage thing is just Yojimbo, right, or a fistful of dollars. That's the plot, and it does have to do with gentrification and stuff, which are kind of themes you see touched on in the other series. You see more, with Kingpin's plot in the first season of Daredevil, right? So they could return to the little bits of that structure. I don't know. Hopefully I don't know what to expect, honestly. I have no idea.
There better be some at least, I don't know how deep they want to get. There better at least be some like homages to like some blaxploitation stuff in Luke Cage.
Yeah, like they said the music's going to be a real big part, so I swear to God, if I hear Kendrick in that show...
They're probably going to go...
man crush on Kendrick.
Hey, Kendrick my number one. I got to blast my boy.
But
that's gonna be good too.
Okay, just imagine slow-mo. I know slow-mo's overrated, but whatever. Slow-mo bullets bouncing off Luke Cage's chest while King Kunta's playing.
Yeah, but you know what? It's not 2003 anymore. The Matrix is done, homie. Like that was the time for that. That would be so cheeseball now.
Or the bullets they could just pop off in a medium close-up, I guess. Yeah.
But that they kind of did that with Tupac in the Tupac mashup in Django, though. That was that kind of that. I don't know. I don't know. They'll come up with something, but I think the music we'll probably see is like all the stuff that Falcon was talking about in what is the name of the movie? Winter Soldier. I think we're going to get a lot more kind of like Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, more kind of like soul and kind of, that I don't know. That's my guess.
See, when I hear Luke, I kind of think like Public Enemy and stuff like.
That's like NWA, like.
Not
That's
either.
No, he's
No.
I mean, I agree, but the guys making the show are another like 10, 20 years older. So like I think they've been watching a lot of these 70s movies. They're probably still trying to sit on some neo soul stuff. Like they're thinking about how they grew up on Richard Roundtree and as Shaft and like that kind of stuff. That would be my guess. I mean, who knows?
Did his dad be like the Afro like tiara hero? Please, like they retconned in original sin.
Hippolyta, kind of.
Well, in
Like what they
original
do with
sin, they
Hippolyta?
retconned that his dad was like the like 70s Luke Cage.
Huh.
I need my guy to like look at a dirty yellow jacket and just go, maybe, and then just I need that to happen.
Or he could fight through Party City and actually have like a tiara land on him.
I like the yellow jacket though. I hope he keeps it because like I don't know. It's just like it's great color and this great visual. I guess.
Well, I think it's the only thing you can use that's not hammy. Like you don't want that belt. You don't want that tiara. That's like the one thing that they can riff on with him. That's like evergreen. You can find yellow to
Jacket, yeah.
somehow.
Like yellow's his signature color. Like even in Luke Cage and Iron Fist, like he's got on the yellow shirt. It's like Luke's usually got on some yellow, except like I think Civil War and he's like dirty T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah, so one day was just, hey, footloose, fancy free, just go.
But it might depend on what they do with Iron Fist too, because like that's the whole thing about those two is they have those colors that play off each other. Is that Danny's got the yellow and green, and Luke rocks the yellow too. So you always get that sense of brotherhood between them because they share like a signature color, which I guess Batman and Robin do too a lot of times, right?
Oh my gosh.
But what do people think of Sanford Green's art on it?
I think it's something like kind of unique. I wasn't really expecting it to look that way, But I think it shows a lot of movement, which is
and emotes. The faces were definitely cool.
Yeah, there's one scene they're like in the diner eating, and like Danny makes this silly face, and it's like, and then there's another Jessica's on the couch, and she's got like this straight face, and she's like, don't do so much swearing. And it's like, yeah.
The diner owned by Stan Lee.
Yeah, I caught the picture on the wall.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't put it in the caption too, though. I saw on the walls like that's cool, but then they put the caption there that says the name of it and that superheroes eat there. It's like that's the one thing where I was like, dude, like we got it. Like you don't have to go that far. We saw
Is this a thing in the Marvel? It's been in the Marvel universe, I guess.
Maybe they're probably setting it up now. There could be some plans for the future here because like what's the name of that street where like Howard and Patsy and She-Hulk and all that is? There's the name of the street. They have that
way.
No, there's a name for it because like they have that.
All I know is the thing is on Yancey Street. That's all I know. Like as far as streets go.
But there's that actual area
where the X-Men's mansion is or was. I don't know.
There's the name of the street there, like all the Will Moss books. Well, not Squirrel Girl, but the other two. Yeah. Anyway, but they may be trying to kind of geolocate stuff, so we might see that again. But I don't know because obviously, like they have Jessica there because Jessica's big right now, and they're thinking about the Netflix stuff. They are. So if they
want to need their own book, come on, people.
If they're seeding it, I think they're going to play wait and see. But that's going to be a big wait and see. Yeah. But the angles were a big deal in this too, like that last shot, the big reveal of Black Mariah. But just how it was kind of fisheye and kind of like the lower up, like he really played with it where like, yeah, you want this big thing that makes her look, huge, like powerful and not just, wide, right? like to do the downward angle looking up, but he just brings that curve to it that really, yeah, it's like he's kind of like sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say like the colors that they did was really like you can tell like each scene because like with Tombstone it turned a little more purplish and like cooler and darker, and then toward the end it got like really vibrant and reddish. And like with Luke, I think they're gonna play with like how he doesn't really like trust. Like I know because I'm an ex-con too. Like so are you. So you're probably lying, but I'm gonna do it for Danny. And probably when they figure it out, he's not gonna be happy.
Oh yeah, because it's a trust thing. Yeah.
Well, I thought that was kind of powerful though, where he was saying like, yeah, like she, you know, Tombstone is an ex-con, and like so is everybody except for Danny, and it was sort of like they could be that subtle without like going there and saying like, dude, you're the white dude who just said some shit, because that's kind of the subtext of it, right? Is that everybody here has been, was that supposed to be right? Yeah,
Probably.
I think was that. Yeah, because I doubt she would have been in the raft. I mean, that would have been a little bit much, I think.
Yeah, there's probably some backstory from some other heroes of higher series. Yeah, I like the colors because the art style was kind of like this kind of cartoonish, like sort of 21st century, except I don't know, it wasn't as like animation influenced as just kind of like raw cartooning, which I like. You could feel the pencil strokes, and then the color scheme was very kind of Bronze Age, but like felt like without like the whole newsprint, without being like too retro, just enough.
Yeah, not full bitch planet.
Yeah, which is okay because this isn't like because when people think Power Man and Iron Fist, they think 70s. So
yeah, exactly.
You have to. Series. And they did it through the colors, which is good. And instead of like having awkward like I don't know disco music or whatever, 70s,
yeah.
I guess.
That's Lee Lowridge and his storytelling ability as a colorist. And that's interesting because you don't know. I guess you'd have to interview Walker and Green and ask them about how much all three of them talk. But that was the thing. Like when I talked to Genevieve Valentine way back when she was in the early days on Catwoman, I was kind of asking about that stuff that he was doing, and that was just him doing it. Like she didn't really send a lot of notes or have any communication with him on it. He would get the inks, he would look at the script, and he would pull that out. He decided, okay, Selena is red, and Eco is blue, and Stephanie Brown is purple, and the Penguin is yellow, and then mix them up. Like he did that all himself. But other titles, I think there is a lot more conscious conversation. But you see that in a lot of the stuff that he does. You see how he plays with Los Angeles and Wolf and stuff like that. So, it could be a cohesive conversation between all three, or it could just be him catching that vibe and just doing it, right?
Yeah, colorists are talented folks who just put their own imprint on the book, especially the post-digital age.
Well, yeah, they're becoming big parts of the storytelling process and how we read the emotions and read the scenes, way more than they have. You look at guys like Matt Wilson, who studied under Lowridge. I didn't know that until you interviewed him.
Lee Lowridge is like the master because he's been around since like I did some research on him. He's been around since like late '90s. Was doing the Batman Adventures books, and then he had a studio in like Georgia, and like a bunch of colorists come from him. And it's definitely a big part. And some books are not so much. Like I don't know, I've been reviewing some Dynamite books, and the Dynamite books not so much. But, definitely like the better Big Two books, all the Image books, definitely.
I think DC is pushing harder with getting art points in the storytelling and the coloring than Marvel is, but I could be also looking at the wrong Marvel books.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel like maybe DC is, but then it's like there was an issue of like Batman and Robin Eternal a few weeks ago. It was like horrible. It's like
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's like weekly.
It's
Yeah.
like
The book is definitely not like a strong creative team. It's
Nah.
just I mean, I'm like way behind, but I mean, it has its moments. But
Yeah, you get a couple real standouts. Those two that Valentine did, but yeah, I mean it's a tough one because it's a weekly, but they have done a couple where they break up the art team enough that they have room to really do some stuff. But yeah, yeah, I'm trying to think of other Marvel books that really like do effective like storytelling in the coloring.
I like Ian Herring stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what has Ian Herring been doing lately since Secret Wars?
Ms.
I know
Marvel.
he's got something coming up. Oh, okay.
Ms. Marvel. Oh, Rico Renzi on a Squirrel Girl. And I mean,
Yes.
okay, like Spider-Gwen,
Yes.
for all Spider-Gwen's issues, the colors are
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. He's on that one too, right?
Yeah. Let's see, Justin Ponsor. He's, I don't know. He's kind of in the middle of the road, I guess. He does like Spider-Man and like Star Wars, and if you want to give your book like an epic sheen, you definitely want to get him on it. And so
Yeah.
also Laura Martin. Yeah.
But neat thing about Sanford Green to me is like he has those strong, bold inks and like that brush-like work, and each of these guys are utterly distinct. But there's that kind of corner where you see guys like Jason Latour. There's a decent amount in common that stylistically that those two have, and you look at Nathan Fox, and even on a much more idiosyncratic scales, Paul Pope. You kind of have those guys that really bring those strong kinetic brushstrokes into their work, and it's really cool. You can get some great stuff there, but you need a strong, smart colorist to work with guys like that, because if you don't, it gets flat and ugly. You have to know how to color for these guys, which I think is a lot of reason why Paul Pope does a lot of his own coloring if he's
or color yourself.
if he's not doing black and white. And you see Ming Doyle run into that. Like I've seen some stuff where she didn't color it herself, and you're like, man, that's no, sorry, that just did not work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of like Fiona Staples and Amy Reeder color themselves, and they also do the whole storytelling thing.
Yeah. Well, Paulina Ganucho, like she'll have like her sister or somebody else do flats, but then she'll like render living shit out of them.
Oh yeah, Zdarsky colors his own work on Sex Criminals.
Actually, that's probably one where he does a lot of mood and storytelling with the colors, but I just don't read the book because it's not really my deal.
Well, yeah, an issue comes out every 6 months, so I like forget the.
Yeah. Well, there was one today. Today was a big one for like stuff coming back.
Yeah, Bitch Planet. Yeah, a lot of milk-fed criminals books.
Yeah, Bitch Planet is going to heat up really big. Again, things I cannot talk about. But the very last panel and the caption on it is very big. That's all I can say without breaking legal documents.
It's like that. Oh, also, Midnighter, the trade came out this week, and my friend Ray, who works for Women Write About Comics, has been running a little Midnighter Week theme throughout a bunch of sites, and yeah, it's been fun. I wrote a little feature, kind of talking about how like Midnighter is like his character is like the perfect balance between super macho action hero and like kind of vulnerable, and like it's not like vulnerable and like the whole cliche my wife's dead, like wife, kids, dogs kind of thing. I probably should have written about this more. Cause like
I was an adventurer like you until I took a bullet to the parents.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking like John McClane has wife issues. Freaking I mean, who has kids issues? I don't know. Oh, freaking Liam Neeson.
Punisher.
Yeah.
Punisher just has issues.
Punisher is. I don't know. Like, he's an ass. He's not an action hero. He's an ass.
I know.
He just isn't. Like, I can't. And then like John Wick the dog. But I mean that movie's amazing. For other reasons.
But you've mentioned John McClane a couple times, and the thing to me about McClane is that his stories, except for like, okay, sorry, I have to amend that. He's like his first couple ones were all about him being caught in like very specific confined spaces, and then, you know, the next couple were like just kind of on these weird madcap adventures where he just kind of bungles into situations he shouldn't be in.
He even goes into Kevin Smith's basement. And his
Oh yeah, that's right. In Live Free or Die Hard. But so what are you pulling out of John McClane that you see in Midnighter? Like, help me out because I think I have a very narrow view of John McClane.
I guess that. I mean, both of them have like a great sense of humor, even in like tough situations. Like very cocky, but also very like I'm thinking more of the first Die Hard than any of the sequels, because he does, at least by like the fourth movie, he's a superhero. Even in like second and third, but like first movie, his theater movie, he doesn't even get. I mean, presumably gets the girl, but he doesn't. Like he never, and like Midnighter never really has a happy relationship in the first arc.
Prometheus.
Yeah, I mean, because usually like
the body pal.
yeah.
Oh.
But yeah.
But I think I would almost say that there's more in common with Harley Quinn there, because his first arc, I mean her first 2 years versus his first arc, so decompression, hello, but is defined by the specter of the only major relationship he's ever had. Obviously the dynamics are extremely different, but I would kind of point something a little bit closer to there.
I don't know. I was just Midnighter definitely fits in with modern action heroes.
He does. I don't know that I can figure out how though.
What about who?
About how? Then maybe that's just my own confusion and my lack of digging modern action heroes.
Well, it's because like, I mean, think about like, I don't know, think about like in the '80s, like Rambo sequels. And, like,
I've never seen a Rambo movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay.
in the '80s, everyone was like, and like, think of all those like shitty like Steven Seagal movies, John. Like, they're always just ass and getting women easily and just not even thinking about it. But then like, once you hit like, I mean, John McClane is definitely kind of a forerunner. But once you hit the 2000s, you get like the Bournes, you get Craig's Bond, you get John Wick. And heroes are like a lot more tortured and a lot more just have issues and versus just being like, yeah, it's no whatever. So like that's why I hate that. That's why I think the Expendables movies just ring hollow for me. They're just
they're just pew 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 pew.
Yeah, I mean
they're just like Avengers movies. They just bring this whole clump of people together.
Okay.
Someone took offense to that one.
Let's relax.
But they really remind me of like just digging at the carcasses of like just
the Avengers movies.
Well, you thought that was bad. They're trying to do a horror movie franchise version of the Expendables.
No.
Yeah, Freddy, Jason, all your favorites that you never even thought about. In a horror Expendables kind of.
Are you telling me you didn't love Freddy versus Jason?
I was gonna say, yeah, jeez.
I wouldn't put it on. If I saw it on the TV, I just wouldn't say, "Oh, gotta watch that. It's Halloween." Yeah.
No Netflix and shit.
I would rather watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh my god.
But one of the nifty things about Midnighter though is that he does. I think you were saying this in your piece. that there is a broader range of kind of gay and queer masculinity that gets brought in. He's not just Mr. Tough Guy, emotionally stunted, whatever, like he was way back in the Ellis run when everybody was just this kind of one-note sort of deal. Yeah, and he's not, like Apollo was back then, this weepy queen, basically. There's kind of a broad range of what's going on there, and that's what I thought was really nifty about that Kevin Wada cover, because Wada is a guy who came into comics through fashion and illustration and having this particular aesthetic. He's the guy you call on to do Catwoman, to do Scarlet Witch, and these big pieces, and then you come in and you catch him at the height of him broadening what he does. And Catwoman was his biggest test, I think, on cover so far. Maybe She-Hulk was, but you come in and you put him on Midnighter, and it works really well. It's very different, but it stands out so much from the aesthetic of ACO and the other artists on it, that you get that they are very, very different versions of of gay masculinity in the gay world at work there. But there you found kind of a space where they can coexist and not look janky.
Yeah, I mean I really Terrence left. Yeah, I mean, the thing about ACO is just there for the crazy layouts and getting inside Midnighter's brain. Stephen Mooney brings the sexy, brings the beefcake, which is good.
That's I find that an interesting perspective, because I think he's kind of the weaker guy out of those dudes.
Well, no, Stephen Mooney as far as layouts is, but like he definitely.
I mean the rendering of his fingers. But but obviously you're more the target audience for that guy.
Yeah, I'm like I'm like probably I'm currently the only person who can really judge on that.
Sure, but I know my art, and I kind of look at like the substantive, more rendered figures that ACO or a guy like McKelligan, where I feel like Mooney there's like kind of a softer edge to his lines that don't sharply define things. The way that a lot of other artists do, but maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, and then Alec Morgan just didn't really leave much of an impression on me.
No.
But yeah. You should probably read my review, my feature about this. It's way more coherent and organized, and like I went through the trade and like did tons of like notes and stuff, and yeah.
I love catching you flat-footed though. And working it out. But I actually got a whole bunch of Harley Quinn questions this time. Not a whole bunch. Oh my
gosh! All right.
I kind of gave brief answers to all of them, and like I'd have to go way through my mentions to remember who asked me all of them. But one of the first questions that I got easiest to answer to me was, is the Batman the Animated Series costume overrated? The short answer is yes.
Oh, come on, man.
But is it overrated? Not is it good? Right? Because, do you really want a character sitting around in the same costume for 20 damn years with no changes? Has Batman done that? No. Has the Joker done that? No. And she's in the comics page now, right? Or in video games, where like when Paul Dini and Bruce Timm designed her and drew that stuff, it was for animation. And for a budget of a 90s Saturday morning cartoon, effectively. So you have to have something that's easy to duplicate, easy to shorthand. Like the most boring Catwoman design in the history of anything is the Bruce Timm one, just that gray one with the black front face. But that's because they had to do it cheap, on the sly, whatever. Everybody is just a cheap shorthand because that's what you can afford in animation. But Paul Dini and Bruce Timm are very good at boiling things down to this one essential image to build from, right? But you still see that silhouette in everything that she does, because Harley, in her very, very first civilian look, had pigtails, and to, kind of mimic the shape of her, whatever the heck you call it, the headpiece in her costume. And you see that profile in absolutely everything that has ever come since. So you get that idea, and you get the dominant red and black, and sometimes it moves into red and blue, but all of those dominant tones stay there, but people are like, "Oh, I want her back in the old costume." Really? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I feel like
Oh,
that's just a lot of nostalgia. Like
Yeah.
people don't like change. Like
Mm.
they want to stick with the old costume because it's what they know. So some new costume like may be hard for them to adjust to. But it's like it's 2016. Things change eventually. You know what I
It's
mean?
been 5 years.
I
It's
do
been
like,
5 years.
yeah, I do like the costume in her comic better than the one in the Arkham video games.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, she doesn't have one costume in the comic, right? She's got that one sort of casual one that does get switched up in bits and pieces every once in a while. It never stays exactly the same. But then she also has the roller derby outfit, and
Roller
then
derby's my fave by far.
and then they'll do stuff with the pirate stuff in the spacesuit, and they play with like there's a whole line of you've seen them, the whole line of figures they have coming out um, based on these. So they play with it and they have fun. Because you used to get the static house style stuff where people would complain, why has the Wasp been wearing the same costume for 10 years when she's supposed to be a fashion designer?
Yeah.
Whereas Harley is throwing costumes left, right, and center now. That Chad Hardin is always adding and subtracting details. That John Tim.
I know, like
Tim's
Kitty
is.
Pryde when she was first introduced in the '80s. I know it's like '80s fashion. She like changed her costume like 3 times within like 20 issues, and now she's had the same like yellow and blue like X thing for since at least Whedon's run.
Yeah, but the X-Men, you see them in civilian wear a lot more than most other superheroes, right?
Yeah, which I
And-
like.
Whereas Harley is an always-on type of a character. The only time that she's not in some kind of a costume is when she's at work as Dr. Harley
Oh,
Quinzel,
yeah.
right? And there's a reason for that. But one of the other questions I got, I'm pretty sure this one was from Jam, was asking why I think she got so popular, why this kicked off. And the look, like the look that she has in the comic, didn't come out of nowhere, and neither did the look that she has in the video game. The look in the video game is ugly, and so is the Suicide Squad one. It's the worst version of this. But at every single point, the designers of these looks went and said, "Who likes Harley Quinn in 2007, 2011, 2013, 14, 15, and 16? Who is it that actually likes Harley Quinn? Oh my God! It's goth kids who shop at Hot Topic. It is. It is. You know, that's the kind of most suburban end of it, but it's also, you know, how many burlesque performers have done Harley Quinn inspired things since before the Suicide Squad thing? And so they lampshade this. They go to the neo burlesque. They go to the roller derby aesthetic. They look at, wow, these are the women that give a shit about this character, and the dudes too, and the guys with Suicide Girls subscriptions. But they look at that and they say, this is who the character appeals to. So how can we bring that out? So obviously the guys at Rocksteady are tools. I mean, look what they did to Robin. They made him into like this weirdo, like, you know, MMA bro. Like
He
that
looks
was
like a skinhead. I'm just gonna say.
yeah. He looks like those dudes that go to strip mall MMA like gyms and think they're going to be the next Georges St. Pierre, and they're just nothing, right? That's just what he looks like. This muscle bro. Rocksteady is terrible at most of their designs because they're just, I don't know who those guys are.
Nightwing and
awesome.
Catwoman look pretty sexy though.
Yeah, but Catwoman still had that stupid like let's zip her down to her navel shit. You know, because like the Darwin Cook design was sick. It was always sick, and it is the leading design that even to Inaki Miranda right now, it's the same base look. You know, he's a guy like Bruce Timm who can create this clean thing that will define a character for at least a decade. But anyway, but you look at Amanda Conner, you look at Chad Hardin, you look at any of these people who have contributed strongly to the designs, and they get a better idea of who these people are. And I mean, Connor and Palmiotti are people who get sideshow culture, and they get Coney Island and the weird end of New York. Like, they know this shit. Like, I remember years ago Palmiotti telling weird stories about stuff that he had gotten up to in his youth and heard in New Jersey and New York and stuff like that. So, you know, in the Canarsie accent, like, they know people like that. Like, it's there. So, I mean, it looks like a weird whiplash if you say, okay, well, this is what she looked like in the cartoon in the 90s. This is what she looks like in in the comics now. Well, it's because it's evolved with who appealed to her. It's the same way as, I mean, they never tried to get her looking like youth culture in the beginning, but if you look at like Luke Cage's 70s look, right, with the tiara and all that, and you look at the Azzarello version, like the Azzarello Corbin version of Luke Cage with the headphones and the shades and all that, and the vest, is basically this.
He's really looking at himself at a strip club? Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, they were trying to be funny with the reflection because he's got the shades, right? But anyway, but the point is that was his like 2011 Suicide Squad look, where you got these guys who get the idea they want to bring this influence out, but they do it in the most boneheaded way ever, right? And that's the kind of equivalent there. So you didn't have her chasing culture until then, but I think if you look at the people who have traditionally been interested in Harley, it's there. There's continuity, and that's why she looks that way. Another super interesting question I got was, how do I sell this book to somebody who says that her current costume is sexist?
Oh.
And you know what? Honestly, if you just look as a person outside of comics and all of that stuff that I just said, you look at this costume, yeah, I could see how you would get to that point, because there's such a long history of boob socks and dumb shit that if you don't want to make the leap to engage with this stuff and to find the good in it, then yeah, it is going to look silly and dumb.
Oh yeah, like a certain person we know on Twitter who that's all they do in their criticism.
Oh, there's many people who do that. But, you know, if you look at, remember that whole thing last year about that Jill Lepore was, she looked at an issue of A-Force and she said these look like porn stars, you know, and everyone got in a kerfuffle about it. Because
its context is definitely key.
It is, but her point was that if you look at this from the outside, just as a newcomer, and honestly, I didn't remember exactly what the costumes were, but when I was looking at that TCJ year in review, he posted one of the panels, and like, yeah, She-Hulk had that really stupid, like the Thor core She-Hulk had this like, what do you call those, like a slingshot thong kind of stupid look going. And I was like, yeah, I understand that. I mean, other characters had good looks, but there was some dumb stuff that it was the ephemera of usual superhero stuff, but it's like, I get it. But my short answer was I don't. You know, I mean, if you come to me and say, Emma, I don't like this costume, why do you like this series? I'll explain it to you. If you come to me and you want that. But I'm not going to sit there and wheedle someone into this book, because my short answer was this comic is for the kind of girls who want to dress like this, or who want to see a character dresses like this. You know, who are invested in that scene and that look. If you're not, then you're going to be missing 50% of this book, right? And
like,
all
the book sells like crazy. I mean,
it does, but, and I'll get to that.
Not a niche book. I mean,
it is a niche book, and I'll get to that.
It sells like crazy.
I know, but let me get to the small point, and then I'll get to the big point. But if you want a book that handles a lot of these same themes, but you don't like the costume, you can go read Alias. You can go read, you know, so many other books out there that you can get a lot of the same things from, that if you don't like the aesthetic, I don't think that you should hold your nose if you're not drawn to it. I love the book, and if you want to come to it, I'll help you, but I don't see the need to chase people with this book. But, I mean, and that's the funny thing, it is a niche. It's selling like hell relative to comic books, but comic books don't sell like anything. You know? More people know who Jessica Jones is right now than the fact that there is a Harley Quinn comic right now. More people in the popular culture know who Harley Quinn is than Jessica Jones. But, you know, I think the thing is that they've done an incredible job of capturing everybody who gives a shit about Harley, or as many people as they can, you know, that will buy a comic. So they've captured their entire audience. So there's people who know who Harley Quinn is. People
I love how off the wall the book is.
Buy comic books.
Like, and there's like, you can pretty much pick up an issue without. I mean, they're not really standalone because there's tons of like supporting characters, that like recurring supporting characters like Cyborgman and Egg Dude and the Gang of Harleys. But it's pretty easy to like just get in any particular issue, pretty much.
I jumped in at issue 3, I think it was, Ivy's first appearance, when I wasn't really reading any DC at the time.
Oh yeah,
And
like Harley Quinn was Harley Quinn and Batman, and then I was still reading Batgirl with Gail Simone were like my rocks for DC. I was not reading much DC.
well, I saw that Amanda Connor cover of like the animals with the bloody snouts and Harley in the middle, and I was like, okay, I gotta see this. And then I opened it up and I was like, wow, 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 wow. And then I was right back in, and I was like, all right, I'll wait for the next Ivy issue. And then I read the next Ivy issue. Then I got the Rainbow Hug gig, and I was like, okay, well, I should catch up more. But yeah, no, it's a very easy issue, like series to jump in. Like you can read 25, and all you need to know is who the Joker is and who Harley is, and you're going to have something to say about it. You're going to feel something about it because you know these characters. Everything that's happened over the past 2 years, it's great. You can engage with it, but you don't need it to like this issue. But I think it's a comic that draws people back into the fold, and it's capturing its entire audience because there's millions of people who love Batman but don't read comics, and Batman comics have not been very good at drawing those people in from the outside. Whereas Harley Quinn, I would say that's what's happening here. People are coming back or coming in because they see this and they're like, whoa. So that would be my guess. But it is a niche because when you look at the whole comics market, how many people who are like hardcore comic people are really going to dig this? Not a lot. Because everybody, I mean, like Chris Sims was talking shit about this series from the beginning. He's like, oh, Harley Quinn can't make it on her own. She needs to be attached to the Joker. This will never fly.
Oh, boo.
You
This
know?
was so fun.
And they had, what was the guy's name? That wrote a big piece on Vulture about her 1 year into the reboot, and he quoted Sims, and he went to Sims as being one of these kind of dudes who's been reading Batman comics for ages and knows tons of stuff, but he says, well, it can't last because Harley has no, she can't stand alone on her own, she needs the Joker, blah, blah, blah.
No.
And now it's another year has gone by, and we finished one 6-issue miniseries. There's another 6-issue miniseries coming, and there's a bi-monthly, and they're all making bank. So it's that thing is that it's not bubble people that are being drawn to this. There's hardcores that love it, but it's casuals. It is casual people.
Oh, does it mean I'm a casual?
No, it doesn't. It means your taste aligns with the casuals, but it's a good thing. Yeah, I think that's what's
like. As far as the big two goes, I've always liked the quirky side books, like the Deadpools, the Squirrel Girls, the She-Hulks, the Harleys.
Never really into Deadpool. I tried a little bit. I liked a bit of Niciez's like Cable Deadpool from like what was it, 04, 05, 06.
I'm reading Joe Kelly's Deadpool right now on Marvel Unlimited, and it is so much fun, and it's like the perfect like parody of 90s anti-hero tropes.
I like the bits and pieces.
While still treating Deadpool like as an actual like hero. Also in the TV show Angel, the whole plot line with the evil law firm like pretty much ripped it off from this.
Well, I mean, there have been evil law firms and stuff before, but
like
but no, like Howard the Duck, Next Wave Agents of Hate, stuff like that. Yeah, that's always appealed to me too.
All right, so we probably have time for one last question before I have to peace out.
That's all I got. Those were I'm pretty sure that's everything that I was asked.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So definitely you should read Harley Quinn. Like pick up 25. I mean, like
yes.
And also issue 25 doesn't really have much of her like kooky supporting cast in it either, so you don't have to like wiki those people.
Well, it's also start of a next new kind of arc. They don't really do hard and fast arcs in Harley Quinn. There's kind of broad things that happen so that they can cut them off and do trades and whatnot, but everything just kind of keeps going. There's one thing comes in, the other comes out. So, but this is a big break, right? And it's a big jumping on point. So whatever number 26 is going to be, I haven't really looked at the solicits or anything, but I think it's going to be a big jumping on point and a big something new is going to happen that is not going to need much backstory because obviously Mason's not going to be involved, and Ivy probably won't be around for another at least 2 or 3 issues.
One of our listeners actually cosplayed as Harley Quinn with her shorts unzipped. Thank you very much. Right. And then some last social media shout-outs, like real quick.
Let me go first because I gotta get the door. But I'm writing for Comicosity and also Pop Optic. My Twitter is EMMAHOUXBOIS, and you can always ask me any Harley Quinn questions you want to.
And Darrell?
I'm Darrell. You can catch me at blerdsonline.com on Twitter. You can find me usually tweeting at Blerds Online or at Original King D.
So, like live tweeting like every TV show.
Just
Hey,
about.
I mean that's how I keep them on Arrow without wasting an hour every week. Pretty much.
Wasted on flashbacks.
Yeah. I know, like they're still doing that slave thing. Like, what the heck is that show?
Yeah, it's like, oh man, this keeps
some of that dialogue, like his abdomen has a mark on it. Like, I don't even know. Yep. And I'm Logan. You can find me at Sexy Ginger Nerd on Twitter. And yeah, Pop Optic and Graphic Policy are my homes for my comics and soon to be TV again writing like tomorrow. So yeah. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, click.